Hi, my name is Mark. Welcome to my poker channel. I wanted to give you guys a quick introduction about myself. I was born in France, but I moved to the US in 2010. I've been playing poker since about 2004, 2005, but it's only in 2015 that I started to learn more about strategy and striving to become a better poker player. I would consider myself primarily a tournament player. It is the format I enjoy the most, but I do enjoy the odd cash game here and there. That's about it for now. I'm sure we'll get to know each other better in the future. For now, enjoy the video. Let's go straight to the action. All right, here we are at Deuce's Poker in Beaverton, Oregon. We're buying in for $30, which gives us a 10K starting stack. There are unlimited rebuys until level 8 and an add-on. And as you're about to see, this game is lots of action and stacks are flying. Here we go. All right, first hand, we sit down. We got 6-7 of clubs in the big blind, and there have been 6 limps before us. Under the gun, low jack, hijack, cutoff, button, and small blind all limped. So we check, and the flop comes queen 7-8. We flop a pair of 7s and a backdoor flush draw. The under the gun player bets 1K. The low jack calls, the hijack calls, the cutoff calls, the button calls, the small blind folds. And here, I mean, we're getting a crazy good price to try and hit another 7 or maybe get a club. Anyway, we call, we go to the turn, 7.4K in the pot. We check. The under the gun player checks. The low jack player checks. The hijack player bets 3,000. The cutoff calls the 3,000. The button shoves for 13.5K. At which point we don't like our pair or 7s, so we just let it go here. All right, next hand we pick up ace-10 suited in the small blind. Pre-flop action folds to under the gun +1, who makes it 3,000. Folds to hijack, who calls the 3,000. Folds to us. And here, after a little bit of deliberation, I decide to jam because the open comes from a very loose, aggressive player who is known to shove kind of crazy with any 2 cards. And because of that, I think that the hijack called with a hand that, could surely see a flop for 3K, but I think a lot of the times will fold to our shove. And I decided to go with that read and shove ace-10 suited. And we get the result that we wanted. We go heads up against the under the gun +1 players. The hijack folds. We got ace-10 suited, and we are going heads up against queen 9 offsuit. We get a little bit of a sweat there on the turn with the club draw, but we end up doubling up. A nice pot, 21K. We got 2 starting stacks. All right, for this next hand, we're still at level 4, and we pick up jacks in the big blind. The low jack, the wild aggressive player, makes it 1.2K. Folds around to the small blind, who jams for 5.6K, so around 14 big blinds. I decide to just play my jacks straightforward here and just re-jam. So I jam my stack on top, hoping that the low jack will come along for the ride, but he finds the fold. And so we go heads up against the small blind player who has pocket 5s. So let's just dodge a 5 and win the chips. Flop comes 2-9 deuce. Turn comes a queen. River is at 8. Clean run out. We pick up the chips, and on we go. The action continues here. Level 5. We wake up with ace-queen in the under the gun +1 position. We open to 2K. The hijack, loose aggressive player, calls. The button jams for 9,000. So about 15 bigs. And again, just playing very straightforward here, trying to realize my equity. I just re-jam. And the hijack actually calls, and they cover us. So we go 3 ways in a huge pot. We're up against ace-7 and king-queen. So we got both players dominated. Let's hold Queen 7 Jack flop, 5 on the turn, and another queen on the river. So we hold up, we win with trick queens, ace kicker. We win a massive pot, and we're just running pure. All right, next hand we pick up pocket aces in the cutoff. It folds to us, we make it 2K, and only the small blind, which is the loose aggressive player, calls. The flop comes Jack Jack 10, and I can't say 100% I love this board, but being that we're up against our very loose aggressive opponent, I throw a c-bet. I c-bet too big here, 4.5. I'm not sure if this was a misclick at the time, but it seems a little bit too big on this paired board. But, you know, in retrospect, this is the type of player who's going to call pretty much any sizing. So, not too bad of a mistake, but I think I bet too much here. Player calls. The turn comes a brick, and I decide to check here for pot control, which in retrospect is a terrible decision with all the draws on the board. I should have definitely bet here. The river comes another break, and now I fire for 5.5k, and I get snap called. And we end up winning the pot. I do not know what our opponent had. He never showed, but we pick up the chips. All right, next hand, level 6. We got pocket 9s on the button. The under the gun player, our wild aggressive opponent, shoves for 13k. The hijack, who's a pretty tight player, flat calls the 13k. And I look at their stack, and they have about 53k effective. And same reasoning as with the ace-10 hand. I think I have a lot of fold equity here. I think people are calling a little bit wide pre-flop against this specific player. So I decide to jam 9s, and it goes perfectly to plan. The hijack player folds, and we go heads up versus the under the gun player who has jack 9. And we get a clean run out, and we pick up another huge pot. Let's go. Next hand, we're on level 8 in the cutoff, and we get dealt pocket kings. We cannot stop getting premiums. An early position player raises to 5,000, and I see that they have about 20k behind. So I decide to raise to 25k, and it pulls back to the early position player. So we're all in versus this player in a pot of about 40k. We're up against ace jack. So we just need to dodge the ace here. And the flop comes 3 deuce 6. 6 turned. Boom. 3 river. We just cannot lose a pot. We are running super hot. Let's keep it going. All right. Here we are in the big blind, level 9, we get pocket queens. It's just insane the amount of premiums that we're picking up. There are 2 late position limpers. We open it up to 16k. They both fold. We pick up the chips. Let's keep the run good going. All right, next hand, we're at level 10. We pick up 9-7 suited in the big blind. There's an early position limp. A late player calls. We check, we go 3 ways to a flop, which comes 9 high. We have top pair. We check. The early position player bets 8k. The late position player folds. And we have an easy call here. And we're just trying to get to a cheap showdown with our top pair weak kicker. The turn brings a 4 of clubs, which completes the front door flush. But it goes check, check. The turn is an 8, which completes even more draws. I check. The other player checks back, so I show my top pair expecting to be good here, but our opponent shows pocket 10s, and we lose our first pot of the night. Next hand, we pick up 8-5 of hearts in the small blind. We decide to complete versus the big blind, who is not an overly aggressive player, so we don't expect to get raised a lot here. They indeed check back. The flop is 7-6-6, and we pick up a open-ender. We only have 8 high though, so I decide to bet and just try to take the pot down right here and there. And it's exactly what happens. Our opponent folds and we pick up the pot. Next hand, we're in the big blind with 6 deuce offsuit. It falls around to the small blind and completes, and I decide to check back. No need to get crazy with 6 deuce. The flop comes ace 5 10. It goes check check. The turn brings a deuce, and I decided to fire a bet here to basically just protect my small pair. And I guess you could make an argument that I'm getting very thin value from flush draws and potential straight draws. Anyway, I bet and we take it down. Level 11, we're back to picking up premiums. We pick up ace K, we raise, the blinds fold, we pick up the chips. Here we are in the big blind, still at the 4K, 8K level. We pick up 10-5, the button limps, the small blind completes, we check. We go 3 ways to a flop of jack 6-5, checks around, 4 on the turn, both players check. They're playing very straightforward. So I just decided to throw a bet here to protect my 5 and just try to take the pot down, and that's what we do. All right, here we are on the stone cold bubble with 9-6 offsuit in the big blind. The button player had less than 1 big blind left. So the small blind completed and I checked back, and I hope that they know good poker tournament strategy and that we're just going to check this down to the river to try and take out the button. That's what you should do in a tournament, especially on the bubble. That's what we do. Goes check, check all the way. And our pair of 6s is good. And we take out the button. And we are now in the money. 4 players got paid. We're first in chips. Let's see how far we can take this. Let's deep run this thing. A few orbits later, we had lost our 4th player at this point, and the 2 other players at the table went all in. Ace Queen versus King 10. Ace Queen covered and won. And so at that point, we were heads up with similar enough chip stacks, and so we just opted for a chop. And so we were out for 355 for a profit of 325. Welcome back, and wow, what a run good session that was. I can't remember ever running this good in a poker tournament. That was just insane. So I hope you liked the video. If you did, please consider leaving me a like. It's just a click for you, but it would mean a lot to me. Really appreciate that. If you want to be informed of when my next video comes out, then please subscribe to the channel. And if you have any comments or critique about any of the plays that I made in this tournament, please drop me a comment. Also, if you have feedback about this video, I'll be interested to know that, and I will make it a point to read and respond to every comment that I get. If you want to join us at Deuce's Poker, which is where I played this tournament, I will be linking the Facebook group in the description of this video. Thanks again for watching. I will be seeing you soon in the next video.